Have you ever had that feeling that there's something bigger waiting for you in life? Like deep down, you know there's this amazing past meant for you, but you're not totally sure how to find it. That feeling right there is exactly what The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho is all about. And honestly, it's one of those stories that sticks with you long after you finish it. So grab a coffee, get comfortable, and let me tell you this story, because this isn't just a story about treasure. It's a story about chasing a dream. Our story starts with a young shepherd named Santiago. He travels through the hills of Spain with his flock of sheep. His life is simple. He sleeps under the stars, reads books, visits small towns, and answers to no one. But deep down, Santiago has this quiet feeling that maybe life has something more waiting for him. And then one night, everything changes. While sleeping in the ruins of an old church, a place where a giant sycamore tree grows through the middle, Santiago has a strange dream. In the dream, a child takes his hand and leads him all the way to the Egyptian pyramids, and the child tells him something incredible. There's treasure waiting for him there. But just as the child is about to show him the exact location, Santiago wakes up. At first, he tries to ignore it, but then the dream comes back. Same child, same pyramids, same feeling that it means something. So Santiago decides to visit a fortune teller, and after hearing the dream, she tells him something surprising. If you go to Egypt, you'll find treasure. Now imagine hearing that. Travel across the world chasing a dream about hidden treasure. It sounds crazy, but something inside Santiago believes it. And sometimes that tiny spark of belief is all it takes for a journey to begin. Not long after, Santiago meets a mysterious old man sitting in a town square. And somehow, this stranger seems to know everything about him. The old man introduces himself as the King of Salem. But what he tells Santiago next changes everything. He says that every person on earth has something called a personal legend. It's a dream your heart wants you to follow, the thing you're meant to do in life. According to him, when people are young, they know exactly what their personal legend is. But as they grew older, fear, doubt, and routine slowly make them forget. Before leaving, the old king gives Santiago 2 small stones called Urim and Thummim. They're meant to help him read signs and make decisions on his journey. But he also tells Santiago something important. If he truly wants to find his treasure, he has to leave behind a life he already knows. And that means giving up his sheep. Now think about that for a second. His sheep are his safety, his comfort, his entire livelihood. But Santiago makes a choice. He sells them, and with that one decision, he chooses the dream over the safe life. When he boards a ship and heads to Africa. But the moment Santiago arrives in Tangier, reality hits him fast. He doesn't know the language. He doesn't understand the culture. Everything feels unfamiliar. And then things get worse. A man offers to help him reach the pyramids, but instead steals all of Santiago's money. Just like that, everything is gone. No money, no ship, no way home. This part of the story feels painfully real because people love talking about dreams, but they rarely talk about this moment. The moment when things go wrong, the moment when you start wondering if you've made the biggest mistake of your life. Santiago would give up right there, but he doesn't. Instead, he finds work at a small crystal shop owned by a quiet merchant. Santiago brings new ideas to the shop. He works hard. He helps the business grow. Slowly, he earns money again. And along the way, he learns something important. Sometimes the setbacks aren't there to stop you. Sometimes They are there to prepare you. Eventually, Santiago has enough money to go back to Spain and buy a ship again. He could return to his old life, but something inside him has changed. So instead, he chooses the dream again. Santiago joins a caravan traveling across the desert towards Egypt. As the caravan moves across the desert, Santiago begins noticing something strange. The world seems to speak through silence, through signs, through small moments that feel bigger than they look. It's almost as if life itself is guiding him. Eventually, the caravan stops at a large oasis because of tribal wars happening nearby. At first, Santiago thinks it's just a temporary stop, but it turns out to be one of the most important places in his journey. At the oasis, Santiago meets a woman named Fatima, and the moment he sees her, something feels different. It's calm and real, not dramatic or overwhelming, just true. And what makes this part of the story so beautiful is what's happened next. Fatima doesn't ask him to stay. She doesn't ask him to give up his dream. Instead, she tells him she'll wait, because real love doesn't hold you back. It believes in who you're becoming. And then the man everyone has been talking about finally appears, the alchemist. When Santiago finally meets the alchemist, he immediately realizes this man is different. He's calm and wise. One of the most powerful lessons he gives Santiago is this: the fear of suffering is worse than suffering itself. And honestly, that hits hard, because so many people give up on their dreams not because they failed, but because they're afraid to even try. The alchemist and Santiago travel deeper into the desert together, even while war is raging around them. At one point, they are captured by warriors, and to save their lives, the alchemist tells the warriors something unbelievable. He says Santiago can turn himself into the wind. But in one of the most mystical moments of the story, Santiago connects with the desert, the wind, the sun, and something called the soul of the world. And he realizes something incredible. Everything in the universe is connected. And when someone truly follows the purpose, they become part of that connection. By now, Santiago doesn't even need the stones anymore. He learned to trust his heart completely, and that's where the real transformation happens. Finally, Santiago reaches the pyramids, and after imagining them for so long, the moment overwhelms him. He falls to his knees and cries, because every hardship, every risk, every step of the journey led him here. So he begins digging for the treasure. But then life throws one final test his way. A group of thieves finds him and beats him, demanding to know what he's doing. Santiago tells them the truth, that he followed a dream all the way from Spain. The thieves laugh, but then their leader says something shocking. He says he once had a dream too, a dream about treasure buried in Spain, inside the ruins of an old church where a sycamore tree grows through the middle. And suddenly, Santiago understands everything. That church is the exact place where he had his dream. The treasure was there all along. Back to the ruined church, back to the sycamore tree, and when he digs beneath it, he finally finds the treasure, gold and jewels. The dream was real, but by now the treasure means something much bigger than money, because the real treasure wasn't just what he found, it was who he became along the way. The boy who left Spain is not the same person who returned. He's braver, wiser, and stronger. And with the treasure in hand, Santiago planned to return to the desert, back to Fatima. When I think about The Alchemist, I don't just see a story about hidden treasure. I see a story about all of us, because every person has a dream sitting quietly inside them, Sometimes we ignore it, sometimes we're afraid of it, and sometimes life knocks us down when we try to follow it. But Santiago's story reminds us of something powerful. The moment you start chasing your dream, the world starts moving with you. The road won't always be easy, but the journey will change you. And maybe that's the real treasure. So let me ask you something. What's your personal legend? What dream is waiting for you to take that first step? Because who knows? Your treasure might be closer than you think. All right, that's the story. And remember, sometimes the greatest treasure isn't the destination, it's the journey that leads you there.